Hey gents, welcome back to Tactical Rifleman. This video is brought to you in part by Sportsman's Guide. I'm going to cover a lot of survival stuff, a lot of great equipment, outdoor stuff, and if you want a store, place where you can pick up all that stuff, Sportsman's Guide, that's the place to do it. We've got a code for you, Tactical Rifleman code, so we get credit for it, but be sure to check them out. Great company. All right, I got a question for you. Can you survive? I mean, that's easier said than done. It really is. To start off with right away, you have to have discipline, all right? I get asked all the time, well, Carl, what do you mean by that? What's a good analogy? The average man versus winners, okay? Your average man just does what he's good at. He does. The guys that are good at jogging, they go out and jog. The guys that are, they have a lot of muscle mass, they just go and pump iron in the gym. That's it. The average Joe just does what they're good at. Now, the flip side of that, winners, don't get me wrong, they still capitalize on what they're good at, but then they also take that hard look in the mirror and they analyze their weaknesses, and then that's what they go out and they work on. They work on those weaknesses and build them up. And it makes them very well-rounded, and out there in the world, when the chips are turned against you, that's what's gonna give you the edge over everybody else. All right, so not just discipline, but leadership. Do you have the wife and kids going to be with you? Because the reality is, when you get in that bad situation, they're going to hold your hand. They're going to look up at you. They're going to expect for you to save the day. All right, next thing I want to do is talk about preparedness. What do I mean by that? Let's use a parachute for an example. The time to be looking for a parachute is not after you've already fallen out of the plane. That's about as simple as I could put that. Now, we like the old Boy Scout motto, be prepared. Now, your special ops guys, we take that to the next level. For us, we're all about being prepared. We plan out every contingency. When it comes to gear, we always go with the best gear. We want gear that has multiple purposes. One is none and two is one is the way we look at it. We plan out everything meticulously because that's what it takes to set yourself up for success. That's the same thing you've got to do too. Right? Now, when you start talking survival preparedness, you can have 500 pounds of the best gear out there, have an attic full of it, but that doesn't help you one bit if you're out visiting the relatives on the other side of the country. You've got to remember that knowledge is always going to be your best tool. All right? All the gear does not matter if you do not have the knowledge and if you do not know how to use it. Right? Now, time is money, but it doesn't matter how much money you have. You can't buy back time. Spend the time ahead of time to learn how to use all this stuff. Right? Now, the next part is your mental preparation. You've got to have that warrior mindset. Right? That's mentally preparing you. Now, when it comes to physically being prepared, yeah, you've got to be in relatively good physical shape. Right? You can't be that fat rat bastard just sitting there that owns 10,000 pounds of all the latest survival gear. Fine, it makes himself feel better. He's not going to be able to take care of his family. Right? You have to be in decent shape. Then you get into survival systems. That's still part of being physically prepared. Now, what is a survival system? That's equipment that anybody can acquire, right? Now you need to layer your kit, all right? Now you start with EDC, your everyday carry, your cell phone, your pistol, whatever it is. That's your first line of defense, right? Your everyday carry. After that, you've got your office bag, or just a bag you would keep in your office, or what people would call a bug out bag. Have another layer would be in your vehicle, all right? Just gear you would keep in your vehicle. My Jeep, I've got a high lift jack. I've got all this other stuff. All right, now on top of that, then you've got what we call situation dictates. Now, why that's important is because my situation is different from yours. Where I live in the United States is different than where you live. All right, but even for me, my situation changes. Different times of the year, when it gets cold, I'll take insulated jacket and pants and boots and a sleeping bag, and they go in the trunk of all the cars, right? So if the vehicle breaks down, I've already got that stuff there. And then I have enough sleeping bags to put in all the family members' cars. It's just part of it. As my situation changes, so does the amount of equipment that I put in those different places. All right, now, and then your next layer of gear is stuff that you would have in your home. Just having all your gear at home, I don't care if you got $100,000 worth of survival gear. If it's all stuffed up in the attic and you're away on vacation, it does you zero good at all. But now there's a lot of survival kits out there, commercial survival kits. Now my problem with commercial survival kits is simple. They start off with a great idea. All right, hey, we're going to build all this. But then when they actually price it, nobody would buy it. So they immediately start watering down products. They don't buy the best. Instead of getting a good Leatherman Surge with all the extra blades, diamond blades, everything else that Carl would have with it, they go with a $10 multi-tool. They've just shaved $100 off of that whole survival kit. They go cheaper on the next thing and the next thing. And the next thing you know, you get to the end of it and you have a commercial survival kit that when you open the window on Amazon, it looks like it has everything. But when you start looking at name brands of stuff, no, you gotta remember, those kits are built for them to make a profit. So my recommendation for you is, fine, if you wanna look at those lists, get the lists, but then you build your own. One, you're gonna save money, you're gonna get what you want. All right, sizes are different for different people. Knives, for example, guys have different blades that they prefer over others. Get the actual gear that you want that fits your specific requirements, your specific mission, your specific situation. All right. The next thing is you've got to think, do I want to go bare minimum or do I want to go nice to have? Okay, because there's a difference between the two. If you have all the gear in the world, right, and all this great stuff, you're going to end up having a bag that you can't move with. Right? But at the flip side, if you go down to just having just a few things, then you're going to end up selling yourself too short. You're going to end up roughing it too much, and your mental well-being will be sacrificed. If you can't sleep well at night, for example, you're not going to get the rest you need, and then you're making bad decisions. All right, so you have to have that balance again of whether you want the bare minimum or whether you want to have all the nice-to-have items. Because if you bring all the nice-to-have items with you, brother, you're not going to be able to move. You're going to need a pickup truck just to haul all your stuff. Now, when you get into like the military side of it, the military has this acronym that they use. It's called SURVIVE. All right, the S in SURVIVE stands for safe air and shelter. The U stands for uncontaminated water. The R is for rations. The V is for vital medical supplies. The I is for impervious position. The V is for versatility. The E is for education. That's all total bullshit. It's all bullshit. All right, this shit that, well, you can go 3 decades without companionship. Put it aside, and I want you to focus on the basics. Don't get sucked into a lot of these other things that people say, oh, you need to remember this. No. Try to remember the rule of threes. That's one I like. You can go roughly 3 minutes without air. You can go roughly 3 hours without shelter. Think about being out in a blizzard wearing nothing but your shorts and t-shirts that you wore to the mall. You can go roughly 3 days without water, and you go roughly 3 weeks without food. Now, there are exceptions to all of those. Right? There are exceptions. If it's 120 degrees outside and you've got no shade, you're going to not last as long without water. See what I'm saying? So there are exceptions, but for the most part, rule of threes. That's golden. Now, there are basics that you need to cover. Right? The first one I want to focus on is water. Everybody's like, well, I'll just get water out of the stream. All right? You need to think procurement, transport it, and then how are you going to purify it? Now, it can be everything from a battery-powered water filter that pumps it, filters it all out, or a handheld one like the Life Straw, or this is the Survivor filter. Those are different ways to do it. Then you can boil it in a steel container. You got to have other containers to haul it, transport it. These are the kinds of things that you need to think about. All right, we're going to take a quick break. All right, right now, so we can get in a commercial, right? YouTube breaks it up for advertisements, and then we'll be right back. All right, next one I want to talk about is fire. Everybody thinks they've all got all these ferro rods and lighters and all kinds of crazy stuff. Everybody's keychains got ferro rods on it. You go to prepper conventions and they got 10,000 different ways to light a fire. That's fine, but the part they're missing out on is the basics. What do I mean by that? I appreciate you asking. Every spring, the snows melt up in Canada and they find hunters frozen. And right there next to them is a fully functional Bic lighter, a ferro rod, and a pile of firewood 5 feet high. The guy froze to death. He couldn't start a fire simply because he didn't know how to start a fire. Right? Tinder, right, smaller than the lead of a pencil. Kindling, right, roughly smaller than a pencil, and then your fuel gets a little bit larger. All right, after that, you've got to learn this stuff, and you can't just watch videos. You need to actually go out and light fires. And the sad part is that's one that seems so easy because everybody wants to buy this stuff. I'll be honest with you, most American males can't light their charcoal grill without lighter fluid. They can't do it. Get out in the woods, train with all the survival gear that you've already bought. Next thing that's important, that next basic is air. Well, that's easy, right? I think masks, think goggles. Well, Carl, the chances of a viral pandemic, I really don't need to worry about that. Rewind a little bit. Think about the news clips that you saw from 9/11, the people coming out of the buildings with all the dust everywhere. I tell you what, if you would ask them ahead of time, ask every one of them, hey, what could you have done ahead of time? And they'd tell you they would want goggles and a small little filter mask. Stuff as simple as a filter from your coffee maker. You can breathe through it. Does that work? Yeah, it's better than nothing. But at the same time, a small dust filter takes up zero space at all. Small set of goggles takes up zero space at all. All right, so don't forget the thing about air. Next one is shelter. Your shelter, again, it comes down to your situation. It can be as simple as a poncho. It could be a space blanket. You can go all the way up to tents, all the way to sleeping bags. You know, situations change over the course of the day. Next one you want to think about is first aid. Now, start off with your basic IFAK, your individual first aid kit, the military term. And this is your tourniquets and your dressing, things like that. If you really want to get deep into that, I want you to go check out our old IFAK video that you can find in our video archives. But besides that, you need to think medications. Okay, other medications that you need to take every day. What about glasses? That falls under first aid also. If you lost your glasses, right, if you need reading glasses or just glasses to see, you need to think about those extra set of glasses. Me, for example, I make sure I have extra set of clear lenses with me to always go with my Oakley sunglasses I always carry. Why? Because traveling in the dark through the woods, I've had to treat too many guys for corneal abrasions where they've gotten that scratch on that eye. I'm not getting that. I carry my clear lenses. I swap them out when the sun goes down. All right, after that, you want to think about movement. Hey, fine, I have a vehicle. People think we got to have mountain bikes with all kinds of stuff. Start simple. Me, I take last year's hiking shoes. They're already broken in. They're my Salmons. They're awesome shoes. They fit me, and those go with my gear. So if I'm out on my way back from a wedding and I'm wearing a set of leather Johnson & Murphys and slack pants, that's not how I want to walk 200 miles. Having these with me, guys, that can save my life. Movement, think clothing, things like that. Layer this stuff. Next, you got to think about communications. Cell phone, of course, right? No, how 5-year-olds have cell phones now. You think your cell phone, but also think that charger. Think I'm not always going to have a place where I can just plug into the wall. So if you want to look at crank chargers, solar panel chargers, there's lots of great stuff out there that you can use for that. How about if cell phones are down? Just other ways to communicate with people, everything from a whistle all the way up to a CB radio, satellite phones like the Iridiums. Again, layer your stuff. Next one I want you to think about is navigation. All right, navigation starts all the way down with a compass, and that can be as simple as a wrist compass, a compass on the band of your pack, but you should know how to use a compass for navigation, not just finding north. GPSs are great. Everybody's gotten spoiled with GPSs. That's fine, but you still need to be able to use a map and compass. All right. Get good laminated copies of maps. Have them for all the different areas that you're going to go. Get ready to go somewhere. Hey, I don't have a map of that area. Stop at any truck store, truck stop somewhere, and you can pick up a map of the area. Doesn't cost you but a couple bucks. Toss it in your stuff. When you're done, toss it on the shelf. You'll use it the next time you go in that area. Don't forget navigation. All right. Next level is the one that everybody wants to focus on is self-defense. Guys, that's as simple as your pocket knives, your pistols, having a carbine in your vehicle. Okay, fine. Have that bandolier with a basic load of rounds, whatever. Just, again, layer your self-defense. But your number one thing when it comes to self-defense is going to have situational awareness, combat mindset. Again, it comes down to, remember, it comes down to knowledge is still your best power. Your best power, your best weapon, your best tool will always be the knowledge that you have between your brain, between your ears. All right, and again, situational requirements now, because again, my situation is different from yours. All right, different times of the year, got to have different equipment. Start thinking redundancy. 2 is 1 and 1 is none. All right, now, there are hundreds of lists out there on the internet. They've got tons of lists. You got to have this, you got to have that. Oh my God, Carl doesn't use 550 cord, blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of, doesn't matter. Check out different lists. Check out my lists, and you can see, oh, okay, I don't agree with some of these items. That's fine, but something may catch your eye. Hey, I hadn't thought of that. So give it a try, give it a look. All right, get yourself educated. Now, remember, requirements change. It might be the weather, you might be going to a different location, whatever it is, you need to update the survival basic equipment that you have. So again, I want to ask y'all that question I started off with right away. Can you survive? If you had to go out right now, car broke down somewhere, could you survive? Could you take care of your family members that are with you? All right, so number one, knowledge is power. I want that to sink in. Soft units, special ops units, spend more money on training than they do on equipment. I want that to sink in. Right? We own the best equipment in the military. We still spend more money on training than we do on that equipment. Practice with all your gear. Get it out. Practice with it. The first time you're trying to learn how to use that compass or use that solar cell phone charger should not be when you're in an emergency situation. I use my cell phone charger, my solar charger, while I'm out on the beach in Gulf Shores. I charge my cell phone right there out at the beach. I know how to use that thing. All right? So take training classes. Make sure you do it from professional instructors. There's lots of great survival instructors out there. You can come take modern survival classes with us right here at Tactical Rifleman. So anyways, that's all I got, the survival basics. All right, so make sure you check that out. You're interested in courses, you can check them out at tacticalrifleman.com. That's all I've got for you. All take care. Shoot straight. If you like this video, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Also, make sure you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter so you don't miss out on anything. If you like the shirt that we're wearing in the video, you can get it in our store.